Wait. The games are good, alright, but you have to admit there's a lot of issues with the way these games play, and I don't mean the dungeons or the amount of bosses there are or anything like that. I'm not talking about the overall gameplay in this video, I'm just specifically talking about the battle system. Now, to completely immerse yourself in my astute observations, you will need a refresher on what the battle system is like in the Cyber Sleuth games. Or you just clicked on this video because the title was negative and you wanted to hear someone dunk on something because you just love negativity, don't you? But either way, the best way to explain is just by showing you. Here's my Lilithmon. Nice, right? Obviously there's HP and everything, all the classic stats, yada yada yada, but take a look over here. This symbol and colour means she's a Dark Virus Digimon. And what exactly does that mean? Well, in Pokemon you have types, right? And you can either have single or dual typing, but in these games, Digimon basically have built-in dual types, mostly. That being their type and their attribute. And this is the important part. Digimon can either be vaccine, data, or virus type. Vaccine beats virus, virus beats data, data beats vaccine. They do double damage to the element they're strong against and take half damage as well. And just to be very clear here, in Digimon, their type is not their element like in Pokemon. In Digimon, those are called attributes. Why do I keep doing fucking hand motions? You can't see me. There are 8 attributes and they work like this. There are 2 more rock, paper, scissors thingies. There's the grass, water, fire one and the earth, electric, wind one. And then light and dark are just super effective against each other. But here's the problem. Attributes are only super effective against one other thing and don't even resist what it's good against, like with the Digimon's type. Whereas in Pokemon, something like grass for example is strong and weak against multiple things, but that's not exactly the problem I'm getting at right now. The fact is that attributes having no resistances is one of the things that completely tank this game's battle system. There is a neutral attribute in this game, which is basically the normal type from Pokemon. Normal is generally considered to be bad because of its lack of resistances, but at least it's immune to Ghost. But what if I told you that a Digimon having a neutral type isn't even that bad? No. What's bad is being a free type. Yep, there's actually vaccine, data, virus, and free. And like the name suggests, free is neutral but for types. And they also have no resistances either, so they fucking suck. There is no reason to ever use a free type in these games outside of you personally liking the Digimon. You always fight in parties of 3. That means if you don't know what you're up against, you'll probably use one of each Digimon type just to be safe. If you do know what you're up against, then you're most likely to just use 3 of whatever type is super effective against what you're fighting, unless there's a mix, which in that case it would actually be kind of interesting, but free types would still not be useful because again, without resistances, they just can't do anything really. And this isn't even touching the issue, that is the fact that the gameplay completely revolves around types, and barely, if at all, around attributes, making it feel like they're wasted. What makes this worse is the way the moves work. Digimon can learn up to 5 moves that you can change when you want, assuming they don't have 2 special moves instead of 1. So if you have Electmon and he learns an electric move and then digivolve into Leomon, you can keep that electric move even though Leomon doesn't learn any, I don't think. Basically, unless it's a signature move, any Digimon can learn it. Wow, sounds pretty cool, right? Wrong, because unlike Pokemon, there is no stab, which means a Fire Digimon has no benefit in using a move that aligns with this attribute. Maybe at this point you're thinking, bro, you just want Digimon to play like Pokemon, but that's not true. Pokemon's battle system is simply objectively better. I would even say that Pokemon's battle system is one of the crutches that the franchise has leaned on to hold on to its popularity. There's even a whole website just to fight you, just to fight. Meanwhile, Digimon's over here with its half-baked system. They don't have to make it work exactly like Pokemon. In fact, it seems like Time Stranger has dropped attributes altogether in favour of unique weaknesses and I hope resistances. And have even added more types, but why have they done that exactly? It's almost like there was room for improvement. Let me walk you through an example. Here's Agumon, a Fire Vaccine Digimon. And here are some data types, Palmon, Lunamon, and Gabumon. They'll do 2 times damage to Agumon, and if they use a water move, that'll be 3 times damage. If Agumon attacks them, he'll do 0.5 times damage or 0.75 times damage if he uses an element they're weak against. In this example, in the game. Despite the fact that Palmon is grass type, Lunamon is water type, and Gabumon is fire type, in this scenario, they might as well just be the same Digimon. Yes, their stats are different, but not substantially so, and yes, Agumon might not have a grass or water move to use against Lunamon and Gabumon, but the difference isn't even that much, to be honest. You might argue that I should use higher evolutions in this example, and although that would add more variables, I've stripped them out here because, you know, to make a point. There could be way more unique interactions going on here. By the way, if you're confused why Gabumon is fire, it's because its Blue Blaster is actually fire, not ice, even though Metal Garurumon uses ice. Maybe it's a commentary on him turning into a machine, a cold-hearted machine, something like that. Also, he's actually a lizard. I thought he was a dinosaur or he's a lizard. He's a big lizard. Anyway, what happens if we add resistances into the mix? Let's just say that you resist the attribute that you're super effective against, like how the types work. The Digimon types, not their elements. I got confused reading the script, so I thought I'd remind you here. With the resistances added, Gabumon would be the same, but Palmon's grass moves would be doing half damage. Well, basically normal damage at this point. She could still have a water move, but you can see how the emphasis is now placed on having a range of moves and elements actually matter a bit more with this change. It's closer to a 50-50 split of importance instead of types being pretty much everything you have to worry about. As for Lunamon, if she doesn't just destroy him with a 3 times effective move, then Agumon's fire attacks now are virtually useless against her. Which is kind of important because Digimon usually have special moves that align with their attribute. I think all inheritable elemental moves are 95 accuracy or less, so special moves are actually kind of a big deal because they're strong and reliable. Weakening them with resistances would actually change the game quite a bit, although I kind of understand why they might not do it because I think the elements are kind of lopsided because there's a lot of dog types, for example. Just because Digimon weren't made for the game, they were made for other things outside of the game, unlike, say, Pokemon. Though, now that I'm thinking about it, Pokemon is usually pretty lopsided anyway in one way or another, so, you know, just comes with the territory, I guess. But keep in mind that this is the bare minimum we would have to change to start feeling positive differences in the gameplay. We could add more resistances, like maybe you resist your own type, and then Gabumon would resist Agumon's special move, which in a game where you fight multiple enemies at once could make all the difference. We could add Stab, which, by the way, if you don't know what Stab is, it's like you do more damage. In Pokemon, you do more damage if it's a move of your type. And I don't know what you're doing if you're watching this video and you don't know what Stab is, or you don't know, like this is about, come on, you know what Stab is. Okay, there better not be you sitting here watching this video, you didn't know what Stab was before I just told you. We could also prevent certain Digimon from learning certain types of moves. We could prevent Digimon from learning certain types of moves, like let's say that Palmon couldn't learn a water move, and then against Agumon, she'd be fucked, basically. She'd just be a regular, well, she'd be neutral damage, so it wouldn't be that bad, but and she'd be still resisting Agumon's attacks. You know, but, well, actually, no, he would also be neutral because of the fire. It would be it would be a level playing field. Most of this stuff is pretty easy to implement. In fact, I'm sure a modder could easily tweak some numbers to make the game much more challenging that way. It just seems like such a missed opportunity to not utilize attributes to their fullest potential and open up, you know, a world of new scenarios, new fights, the way the fights suddenly it's like, you know, variances when you're fighting regular Digimon. I mean, the game's still pretty easy, but it would be, you know, there's more. You want more. You want more variances. You want more possibilities. I'm emoting like a fucking madman right now. This is why you don't go off script. My hands are just flailing. I could talk about penetrating moves here. They either ignore defense or intelligence, basically special defense, like Gen 1 special, and the majority of Mega Digimon have one of these moves. I feel like there's not really much to say about them. It's just another thing that overshadows the attributes that I feel like pretty much everyone agrees that shouldn't be in the game at all. And I have my fingers crossed that that really is the case for Time Stranger, like I've been hearing. I just don't trust the information I'm hearing. I wanna get the game and know for sure that fucking penetrating moves are gone. That being said, it looks like Time Stranger is actually doing what I want, which is good. If so, then I imagine they came to the same conclusions as me, or listened to feedback. It seems like, you know, this is just kind of clear cut, but if you didn't have the context or the examples, you might not understand why there was a need to change things. Granted, the story DS games also were very similar, so this is a big change, I think, but I think it's for the better, and I think everyone else thinks that too, so I can't wait to play it. I pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition. I hope that was a good idea.